Welcome, everyone. Ready to jump into Austin Kleon's show, Your Work? We're going to pull out 10 takeaways, great advice for navigating the creative world, and really connecting with an audience online.
Yeah, this book, it really encourages a different way of thinking. Not the classic solitary artist working in secret, more like being open, working together.
And that first point, it really hit me. You don't have to be a genius, right, to make a real contribution.
Yeah.
Kleon, he busts that lone genius myth, introduces this idea of genius.
It's pretty amazing how he shows that creativity, it thrives in these connected, ecosystems, people feeding off each other's energy ideas, like the Renaissance, the Impressionists, even Silicon Valley. It's rarely like one brilliant person alone. It's more about sparks flying together, making something new.
So instead of, being scared of needing to be a genius, we can look for our own genius, our own circle of inspiration.
And the internet, that's the beauty, right? These circles, they're not limited by location anymore. Connect with people across the world, build a community online around what you love.
It's empowering, huh? Doesn't matter where you are, what your background is. Tap into these online communities. Share your unique view.
And that takes us to Cleon's second point. Shift focus, right? Not the polished, finished product, but the messy process, the steps along the way. Instead of hiding your journey, document it, share it.
Like pulling back the curtain, showing the behind-the-scenes stuff, the struggles,
Yeah.
experiments, those aha moments.
Chris Hadfield, the astronaut, he did this brilliantly, remember? He captivated everyone by showing life on the space station, everyday stuff, eating, sleeping, working out in zero gravity. It was fascinating because it showed us a world, most of us will never see firsthand.
So become a documentarian of your own work. Even if it's rough, share those sketches, early drafts, even the things that didn't work.
Because those imperfections, that's where the human element shines. It makes your work relatable, people connect with you more deeply.
Now, point 3. It's all about consistency. Cleon's all about that daily dispatch, sharing something small every single day. Work in progress, influences, a lesson learned, or even just thoughts on your day.
The key is to make it a habit, right? Stay connected with your audience, build up your work over time. Social media, it's great for that. But don't spread yourself too thin. Pick a platform or two that fits, and stick with it.
Like Tommy Edison, the blind film critic, he uses Instagram to share photos and talk about movies. Such a cool way to use a visual platform and give a unique perspective.
It just shows you don't need fancy stuff, a big budget to connect. Authenticity, consistency, and sharing your voice. That's what matters.
Which brings us to Cleon's fourth takeaway. Open up your cabinet of curiosities. Share your influences, inspirations, the stuff that gets you creating.
Think back to those old cabinets of curiosities filled with strange objects, from faraway places, scientific finds. It showed what the collector loved, a window into their mind.
And now, our cabinets, they might be Pinterest boards, Spotify playlists, maybe just a list of favorite books, movies.
By sharing these, we're inviting people to connect through shared tastes. Find your tribe, build a community around what you love.
And don't be shy about those guilty pleasures, right? The stuff we love, but maybe don't always share. Those little things can spark amazing ideas.
It's all about embracing your taste, celebrating the unique mix that makes you, well, you. And that brings us to the fifth point. Cleon says just sharing work or influences might not be enough. Gotta weave a good story around it.
Because stories, they grab you, stir up feelings, make your work memorable.
Cleon gives us some classic structures we can borrow, like the fairy tale, Aristotle's beginning, middle, and end, and John Gardner's idea of a character who wants something.
I like how he encourages us to, analyze stories we love, see if we can spot those structures, like we're reverse engineering a great story.
Yeah, like what makes it tick. Think about a recent project. Can you reframe it with Gardner's character wants something? Who's the character? Maybe your audience. What do they want? And does your work help them get it?
It's a good exercise,
Yeah.
and it can make your work much more engaging and relatable.
Reminds me of how Pixar does it. Every great story, they say, starts with a character who wants something and the roadblocks they face trying to get it.
Okay, so we've busted the lone genius myth, embraced the messiness, committed to sharing daily, opened our curiosity cabinets, and learned to tell good stories. What's next on Cleon's list?
He throws down a challenge: don't become human spam.
Oof. I think we all know a few people like that.
The ones who constantly broadcast, right? But never really listen, engage, or contribute to the community.
It's all about me, me, me. Gets old fast.
Cleon says, be a fan first, a good citizen in the communities you want to be a part of. Listen, have real conversations, support others.
Think about Adrian Young, the music producer. He was just chatting with fans on Twitter, asking about their favorite soul groups, ended up working with William Hart from the Delphonics.
Perfect example of how, being a real fan can open doors to amazing things.
So be a fan, contribute, listen. Don't just shout into the void. Connect with people. Build real relationships.
Because those genuine connections, that's what matters most.
Solid advice. Now, speaking of putting yourself out there, Cleon's next point, it tackles the elephant in the room. Criticism. Point 8, learn to take a punch.
Yeah, putting your work out there, it opens you up. Not everyone will love it, and some might be harsh.
The internet, it can be rough.
Yeah.
But Cleon has some good tips. First, relax. Don't freak out. A bad comment, a bad review, it's not the end of the world.
Easier said than done, right? But the more you share, the tougher you get, like building up calluses.
He also says, use criticism to make your work better. Maybe that negative feedback shows you something you missed. It can help you grow.
And hey, there's always the block button, right? Don't be afraid to protect yourself online. You don't have to engage with every troll or negative comment.
And now, a point that might surprise some, sellout.
Yeah, that word can be scary in the creative world. But Cleon wants us to rethink it.
We all got to make a living, right? No shame in being successful doing what you love.
Exactly. It's about making your work sustainable. Maybe a day job, grants, or figuring out how to sell directly to your audience.
The trick is to find the balance, creative fulfillment, and being able to pay the bills.
And remember, the more successful you are, the more you can create. It's a good cycle.
And last but not least, Cleon's 10th point.
Mm-hmm.
Stick around. It's about the long game, isn't it?
Yeah.
The creative life, it's a marathon, not a sprint. There'll be ups and downs, doubts, even discouragement. But keep going. Keep showing up. Keep creating.
Cleon uses himself as an example. He's been blogging for over 10 years. That dedication, it landed him book deals, speaking gigs, a whole career. Shows you consistent effort over time. Plus, being willing to share your journey, it can lead to awesome, unexpected things.
You never know who's watching or how your work might connect with someone across the world.
It's like planting seeds, taking care of them, and trusting that something beautiful will bloom.
Well, there you have it. 10 takeaways from Austin Kleon's Show Your Work. What a book, right?
Amazing. Packed with real advice that can help anyone, navigate being creative in today's online world.
I feel like we just dipped our toes in. What stuck out to you the most?
That's tough. They're all so good. But maybe the idea of being vulnerable and showing your process while consistently sharing your journey.
Yeah, it's not about wanting praise or becoming famous. It's about sharing your work and connecting with people who get it.
Right. Shifting the focus from promoting yourself to building real connections.
And who knows? Maybe those connections lead to collaborations, new chances, even a whole career doing what you love.
And even if none of that happens, you've enriched your own life and the lives of others by sharing your gifts with the world.
Well said. So let's recap all 10 points for our listeners before we move on.
Sure. So remember, you don't got to be a genius. Find your genius instead. Embrace the process. Document and share your journey.
Make it a habit to share something, even if it's small, every day.
Open your cabinet of curiosities. Show us what inspires you.
Learn to tell good stories.
Don't be afraid to teach what you know. Sharing makes you more valuable.
Don't be human spam. Be a fan first. Contribute.
Learn to handle criticism. It's part of the deal, but it doesn't have to control you.
Selling out. Don't be afraid of it. Make your work pay off.
And stick around. The creative life is a marathon. Keep creating, keep sharing, keep growing. Back again. Diving deeper into show your work.
Yeah, just finished summarizing those 10 awesome points from Cleon's book, and I'm like buzzing with ideas already.
Right. It's pretty wild how just changing your view a little can be so motivating.
For sure. Thinking about finding my genius, those daily dispatches,
Yeah.
it's like a whole new set of possibilities opened up, you know?
And keep in mind, it's not about being an overnight success or like blowing up on the internet. It's about making your creative process something you can keep doing, finding an audience who really gets you and enjoying the whole journey.
That hits home. For me, one of the biggest things I'm taking away is being okay with vulnerability. Easy to want to look perfect, especially online, but letting people see the messy parts behind the scenes, there's something powerful about that.
Absolutely. Those imperfections, that's where the real you comes through. Helps people connect, see themselves in your ups and downs.
And it makes creativity feel less scary, more doable. Like saying, hey, I'm not some super genius, just a regular person who loves this thing and figuring it out as I go.
Exactly. And by sharing your journey, you might inspire someone else to start their own creative thing.
Talking about inspiration,
Yeah.
what do you think about Cleon's advice to, open up your cabinet of curiosities. I love that idea. Celebrates those unique mixes of influences that shape us, right? Our tastes, viewpoints.
It's like welcoming people into your special space, sharing the treasures that make your imagination run wild, that fuel your creativity. Those old cabinets of curiosities packed with odd objects from faraway lands, scientific discoveries. It showed the collector's worldview, their passions.
And today,
Yeah.
our cabinets could be Pinterest, Spotify playlists, Instagram, even a handwritten list of favorite movies and books.
Curating a collection of things that bring you joy, spark you, challenge you, and then sharing them. Letting others find common ground with you through those passions.
Love that. And it's not just listing your favorites, is it? It's about giving context, sharing the stories behind them, why they resonate with you, how they shape your work.
Totally. It's turning a plain list into something that gets the conversation going, a launching pad for connection and exploration.
As Cleon says, we shouldn't hide those guilty pleasures, the stuff we dig, but maybe hesitate to share because of judgment.
It's about owning your tastes, celebrating that special mix that makes you, well, you. Those seemingly small interests, they can lead to breakthroughs, connecting things in ways you never saw coming.
Makes me think of Picasso. Good artists copy, great artists steal. He wasn't saying plagiarize, of course. More like get inspiration from everywhere, reinterpret it, make it your own style.
Recognizing that creativity rarely happens in a bubble. We're shaped by our experiences, surroundings, what we take in. By owning those influences, we can make our own process richer and encourage others to do the same.
So we've talked about being vulnerable, sharing influences, finding our genius. Cleon also pushes storytelling skills. Why that's so important for showing our work?
Because stories, they hook you, make you feel things, make your work stick with people. They give context, depth, meaning to what we create.
It's not just about presenting your work, right? It's packaging it in a way that sparks the imagination, makes people curious, leaves them thinking.
Think of the most successful brands, products, ideas. They often have these powerful stories that connect with us on a deeper level.
Like Apple innovation and design, Nike empowerment through sports, or Tesla changing the world with sustainable energy.
Yeah. These stories tap into our values, what we want, our fears, our dreams. They move us, and those feelings guide our actions, choices, even our loyalty to a brand or idea.
So how do we become better storytellers? What does Cleon suggest?
He says, study stories you enjoy. Try to see the framework that makes them so good.
Like we're reverse engineering a novel or movie, right? Understanding the plot, characters, how tension builds and resolves.
Exactly. He gives us structures to try, like that fairy tale structure, Aristotle's beginning, middle, end, and John Gardner's character wants something.
That Gardner one, I like it. Seems super flexible, can apply to all sorts of creative stuff.
Oh, for sure. It's all about knowing what your audience wants, the obstacles they face, and how your work helps them overcome those and reach their goal.
Like a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
Weaving a story that connects your work to what your audience needs, wants, dreams of.
Think of it this way, any creative work, a painting, song, business pitch, scientific finding can be a story. Finding the right way to tell it, that's what grabs your audience, makes them care, makes them want more.
It's a cool challenge. Every creative person should try it, I think.
Totally agree. Storytelling, it's essential, not just for artists and writers, but for anyone who wants to share their ideas and make a difference.
Love that. Okay, so we've explored a lot. Being vulnerable, sharing influences, finding our genius, storytelling.
And we're not done.
Nope. We've just scratched the surface of Austin Kleon's wisdom here.
Stay tuned for part 3.
Yeah.
We'll dig into teaching what, the danger of being human spam, handling criticism, and the surprising upside of selling out.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Back for the final part of our show, your work.
Yeah.
Deep dive. We've covered a lot. Vulnerability, storytelling, the whole shebang.
Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty, those parts of creative work that can feel, awkward or even controversial.
Totally. Like Cleon telling us to teach what we know. Seems counterintuitive, right? Why give away your hard-earned knowledge? Create your own competition.
Yeah, I get it. But Cleon flips that idea on its head. He says teaching actually makes you more successful, not less.
He brings up a great example, Aaron Franklin, the barbecue master. That brisket, legendary. People wait hours for a taste. But guess what? He shares his techniques online, tutorials for everyone.
It proves that real expertise isn't threatened by sharing. It actually grows stronger.
Because you become the go-to person, build trust to your community, and show you're not afraid to give back.
Imagine this. You watch a sourdough bread tutorial. Doesn't make you a master baker overnight, right? There's years of practice, instinct, even a little magic in that perfect loaf.
Same with any creative field. Sharing your knowledge empowers others and strengthens your own grasp on it. Win-win.
And teaching often shows you where you still have gaps in what you know, pushing you to learn more.
Okay, on to something that might hit a nerve. Don't be human spam.
Ouch, nobody wants that title. But online, it's easy to fall into that trap, self-promotion taking over real connection, community.
We've all seen them, those folks who broadcast constantly but never really listen, engage, or support others.
Cleon's reminder, be a fan first. Be a good member of the communities you want to belong to.
Listen actively, have real conversations, celebrate what others are doing.
Remember Adrian Young, that music producer? He was just casually chatting with fans on Twitter, asking about their favorite soul music, led to him working with William Hart from the Delphonics.
Amazing what real fan interaction can do, huh? Way better than shouting into the void trying to promote yourself all the time.
Totally. Build those genuine relationships, that's the gold. And speaking of putting yourself out there, Cleon tackles the unavoidable criticism. Point 8, learn to take a hit.
Every creative person goes through it. Sharing your work invites scrutiny. Not everyone will dig it. Some might even be nasty.
Yeah, the internet can be a jungle, but Cleon has wisdom for dealing with those blows. First, chill out. Don't overreact. A bad comment or review doesn't define you.
Easy to say, harder to do, I know. But remember, people have different tastes. Not everyone has to love what you make.
He also says, use criticism to improve. That negative feedback might point out something you missed.
And when all else fails, block button. You get to choose who has access to you online.
Protect yourself, absolutely.
do.
No need to engage with every troll or negative vibe.
Now this one might raise eyebrows. Sell out. A loaded word, right? Almost like betraying your artistic soul.
Yeah, but Cleon challenges us to think differently. To create, you got to be able to sustain yourself financially.
You got to pay the bills, right? Nothing wrong with wanting success while doing what you love.
It's about making money from your work without sacrificing your values or vision.
Day job, freelancing, grants, finding cool ways to sell directly to your audience. Find the balance that works for you.
No need to be all or nothing. Make a system that lets you pursue your passion and keep a roof over your head.
And finally, we're at Cleon's last point. This one, it really resonated with me. Stick around.
The long game, right? Creative life is a marathon, not a sprint. There will be doubts, roadblocks, maybe even flops. Keep going, keep showing up, keep creating.
Cleon's a great example of this. Blogging consistently for over a decade. It led to books, speaking engagements, a whole career built on that dedication.
He shows that consistency, plus sharing your journey and connecting with people, it can lead to some amazing, unexpected places.
You never know who's out there, whose life you might touch with your work.
Like planting seeds. Tend to them. Trust that something beautiful will grow.
So there you have it, 10 powerful takeaways from Austin Kleon's Show Your Work. What a journey, huh?
Truly inspiring. It's packed with practical advice that can help anyone, no matter their creative pursuit, navigate today's world.
Big thanks to everyone for joining us on this deep dive. We've explored so much, but remember, the real exploration begins when you take these ideas and make them your own. So go out there, create, share, connect, and never stop showing your work.